Hi guys, and welcome to the No Gluten Zone. I create content for people with food issues, and that might be food allergies, food sensitivities, intolerances, or just autoimmune issues that affect your diet. We have a lot of similarities across the board when you have issues in your diet and your foods, and I try to incorporate that content here. If that sounds good to you, please hit the like button and consider subscribing, and you can hit the bell to be notified of future uploads. Today I want to share with you one of my favorite flour blends. I'm going to mix it myself. It is cheaper to mix your own flour blends yourself. You can buy them already mixed. Gluten-free flours tend to just be expensive already on their own, and the pre-mixed ones are even more expensive. So you can save money by doing it yourself. I also I'm very visual and I like to know what's in my flour. If I buy it already mixed, I just always feel, I don't know, disconnect, if that's the right word, where I can't visually see how much grain versus starch is actually going into my recipes. I just like it this way, but at the end of the day, it will save you money, and this is a really great cup for cup flour blend. When I first went gluten-free, there were no cup for cup flour blends. It was a very different world than it is now. And you would have recipes that just called for the different flours and starches. And then it was kind of a new thing right as I was coming in, where you would make your own blends and then use those blends in recipes. I still have a flour blend like that. I've done a video on it in the past, and I still use it in cakes, cookies, recipes that are calling for a gluten-free flour blend. But when I want a cup for cup flour blend, this is my go-to, and it is fantastic. So I wanted to share this with you today. For this blend, I do weigh out the flours and starches and ingredients, and then I combine them all. I make a large amount because I don't like to be doing it frequently, and I store it in these jars. I got these jars. I have 4 quarts and 2 quarts. I got them from Smart & Final. They have them in bigger and smaller than this too, and they're just really, really great. And I have 2 of these for both of my most used flour blends. I have 2 this size. And so when I use one up and I start on the next one, then I make the other one, and they just keep rotating because I use them that frequently that I need that amount. For most of my starches and flours and individual ingredients, I keep them in this size because I don't use them that much. My brown rice flour, I use a lot. I use it in my other mix, my just gluten-free mix, not my cup for cup mix. And I also use it to feed my sourdough starter and in other recipes. And I actually mill my brown rice flour myself, and I've been milling my white rice flour. I can mill grains, but I don't know how to make starches yet, and I don't know that I'll ever get there. It's kind of complicated. But milling grains, I do have a mill, and I do it myself, and it's really, really nice. But I do go through more brown rice flour than probably any other ingredient. And I actually don't keep it in one of these. I have it bagged up and in the freezer to keep it fresh. But I actually go through it fast enough at this point that I probably could keep it out. But I still just keep it in the freezer just to make sure it stays really, really fresh. Okay, so I'm going to get into this. I'm going to weigh these ingredients out, and then I will mix them together with a whisk. Is the best, fastest way to incorporate for this, and then I will store it away here. You will need a scale for this, and I'm going to put my bowl on it and zero out my scale. I'm going to start with 540 grams of white rice flour. I did mill this flour myself. "540 grams on the dot. Next up is 480 grams of tapioca starch. 480 grams of tapioca starch. If you haven't worked with starches before, just know that they are very fine and messy and just they scatter everywhere. Let me wipe the counter. No matter how careful I try to be, they tend to just make a mess. Next up is 240 grams of brown rice flour. And I did mill this myself. I mill my brown rice flour super fine. I used to buy a super fine brown rice flour for many years. And during 2020 and the pandemic, it got very hard to buy. Actually, and right before that, I had found another brand, and both of them got really hard to get during that time. And that's when I bought my grain mill and started doing it myself. "240 grams of brown rice flour going into the pot. The next is 270 grams of potato starch. Here we go with another messy starch. 270 grams of potato starch going into the mix. And I managed to avoid making a mess with that one, but I do think potato starch is the least messy of all the starches. Next up is 180 grams of non-fat dry milk. I like Anthony's brand. I use a lot of stuff from them. 180 grams of non-fat dry milk going in. And our final ingredient is 30 grams of xanthan gum. "30 grams of xanthan gum. Now I'm just going to mix this all together. I like using a whisk. I feel like it's the fastest and most efficient way to incorporate a lot of flours and starches and dry ingredients. And there's the magic of video editing where I did cut some of that out, but you really want to take your time on this part of it and make sure it's really evenly mixed throughout. You have every little bit of all those ingredients in every scoop of this flour. And there you have it. It's all filled up. This will last me for a little while. And you can use this flour blend in any gluten-free recipe that calls for a cup for cup flour. You can also use this if you want to try converting recipes that aren't gluten-free into gluten-free recipes. And it does a really good job. It's not 100% all of the time, but this does a very nice job in most cases. If you give this a try, leave me a comment down below and let me know how it turned out and what you made. I'd love to know. And I hope this blessed someone. Have a great day and God bless you guys.